I think there's a really interesting paradox there, though, but because you don't have to be face to face with someone, but actually technology actually brings you even closer.
Yeah, so true.
Because everybody's always on, they're always connected, or you can use Skype, and I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think there's a paradox that you think it pulls you apart, but actually it brings you closer.
So for starters, everyone on my team, all of the journalists on my team are qualified journalists, but they understand the data, they understand sort of how Google algorithm works, and they can do both because they're really smart and they're flexible and they're clever, and they are digital natives. But actually, I think there's a World Economic Forum job report looking at the skills that employees will want in 2020, and they were real soft skills like active listening and cognitive flexibility, and that's the sort of thing you get from millennials who are digital natives. And I think that's something. It's not about the hard skills, because a robot can know how to use Excel. It's about being able to respond to change and work with people, and that's something I see with my team and our audience all the time.
Is this generation digitally savvy? And we were talking about Instagram, and one of the things that we're seeing, particularly amongst teenagers, is this concept of Finsta and Rinsta. Have you heard of this?
No.
So this is particularly amongst teenagers.
Take notes, hold on.
What we're seeing is that they have two Instagram accounts. A real Instagram account, their Rinsta, and a fake Instagram account, which is their Finsta. And the fake one is the very polished, curated, kind of best version of themselves, where they've carefully chosen a filter and the hashtags are all carefully chosen. It's all about getting likes and followers. Whereas their Rinsta, their real Instagram, is for their real friends, and it's all locked down, it's very private, just for those natural moments. And I think actually my learning from that is this generation are really smart about managing their digital footprint and managing their digital brand in a way that my generation weren't, because we went through all the horrors of drunk photos appearing on Facebook and your boss seeing them, and everyone can kind of relate to that. But I think they have really interesting skills in how they manage themselves and their activities.
It's like
online.
a business. So managing like it would be a business.
They're managing a brand. Or...
Yeah, 100%.
In our business, we talk a lot about the old world used to be, we called it presenteeism. You kind of had to be seen, and just doesn't even exist anymore. But I think it comes back to the definition, and you touched on this right at the start, Matt, and you said, actually, the term millennial, maybe it's a little bit lazy, and I think it is, because I actually think that there's a difference between values and behaviours. I think the values of people who are entering the workforce, whether it was in 2010, 2000, 1990, 1980, broadly, I think the values are going to be the same. I think people, when they enter the world of work, they share the same hopes, ambitions, worries, fears. And I think those values are consistent. But what's different is people's behaviours, and behaviours have shifted because of societal and technological change.
And also, I think millennials are going to have a really important role to play in the future of our workplace, because they're a pioneer generation. You've got Gen Y on one side and Gen Z on the other. They're the only generation that remember what it was like without social media, but are real digital sort of, digital natives. So they're the kind of generation that can speak to Gen Z in their language, but also can communicate with Gen Y, these two really disparate groups that will eventually have to work together. And I think we shouldn't underestimate how important millennials will go on to be as a kind of transition generation.
I hear a lot that people say this generation is entitled. I don't think they're entitled. I think they figured out a way to be more productive. They figured out a way to escape kind of the 9 to 5 being chained to a desk. We hear a lot about this generation needing a lot of positive reinforcement and needing a lot of stroking and a lot of love. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just they've grown up in a world where they're used to instant feedback and instant conversation. One of their mates puts a post on Facebook, they'll be straight there leaving a comment, and vice versa. So they're just used to that pace of dialogue, and that's what they expect.